So the dashes in these old Landcruisers can be pretty confusing sometimes. I've taken apart one in my 80 series probably about 3 times, put it back together again. It's not really quite ever the same. You know, you miss a screw here. You know, there's all these brackets and things. We've just taken the one apart in this 75 series here, and yeah, it's taken an hour to figure out how to put a single bracket back in. They're a bit confusing, but you usually have to take these ones apart quite often. Just if you're doing a lot of maintenance, you know, like if you're doing a full body resto, like putting like new head units in or electrical wiring behind the dash. If you need to do lots of intense wiring, getting to the back of that dash is something that you actually have to do quite a bit more often than you would think. Anyway, so I've got this body of this 80 series here sitting on the ground, so the chassis is sitting there, and I'm going to take the dash out because I need a few things from my 80 series, just little like air vents that have broken clips that are good on this one. I'm going to go through every single bolt and screw and absolutely everything and how to get this dash out and then to put it back correctly. I'm going to set the camera up in the back and then start taking it apart. A lot of people think of this, but some people don't. What you will need is a pack of Ziploc bags and a marker. Pretty simple sort of idea, basically. Obviously these small 50 packs, marker, and you'll be able to mark them, all the bolts and exactly where they come from. All right, so this is your dash here. Now this dash is made up of 3 main pieces. You've got the main plastic dash bit, which is this part down here that you can see. You've got the upper part, this bit up here, and you've got this fascia stuff here. So this is in 2 pieces, this black stuff. 2 pieces, an upper and a lower, and this is where all your switches are. First you pull this black fascia out, then the top part, and then the bottom part. But there are lots of other parts in between that you've got to take out. But first we've got to get into taking the steering wheel off. With some of these you might need to go out and get a steering wheel puller from Super Cheap or wherever. And obviously the first thing you should do before you do any of this dash stuff is probably disconnect your negative terminal. In these 80 series they don't have airbags, so you don't have to worry about that, but your horn will probably go off. Just not good to work in case you short anything out. So for this first part you need the long screwdriver with a thicker end on it, not like a thin Phillips head. And underneath here on the steering column there'll be 5 screw holes, but most likely you'll find that it won't actually have the 5 screws. At least one will be missing. This still has the screws, but the clips, the spot for the screw to screw in has completely broken off, so there's actually only 3 screws holding this one in. There you go, screws are out, bottom piece there. The 2 front screws join them together, and there's 3 other screws that actually join it to the steering column. So next we've got the steering wheel. The horn here, this will be 1 screw in the bottom and then 2 clips. So you just have 1 screw in the bottom there. It's just a Phillips head again. And then once you got that 1 screw at the bottom, it's a specific screw. Put that in a bag called horn. You just pull it off the bottom there and then that'll come off. Back here you got 1 connector that you just undo, and that's your horn there. Next is actually getting the steering wheel off itself. You'll need a 19mm proper impact socket. Get that on there on an impact. You can try with a ratchet, but just get yourself an impact and do this. It's going to be way easier. Just get that on. That'll come straight off, and definitely bag that. And with these sometimes you need a steering wheel puller, but this one you can just pull straight off. Some you can, some you can't. So next is this whole big black fascia part here. So this is where you got to take off the majority of your clips and stuff like that. Yeah, with the plugs, they'll only go into the plug that matches them, but it is a bit easier if you do label them. So what you got to do first is take off this bottom fascia plate and then the top one. First, just take off all the screws. There are a few tricky little things you gotta do here. If you have a petrol, or the diesels as well actually have these, you'll have this throttle at the bottom. You just pull the cap off, unscrew that thing there. Should be able to just push that through and then you'll be right. A lot of this is clips, not especially over this side. A lot of them are clips, but there are a few screws. I'll show you all the screws. So first, you usually have one in here. This is where that throttle was. There isn't one in there now, but usually there is. And then another one up under here, which again isn't there. This is, pull it out, it's your ashtray. You can push that down, comes out, and you'll have a screw there. Usually goes in that hole, but this dash is obviously been tempered with. Now this bottom part should just come straight out. So You should give it a good tug. Don't be too hard with it, obviously, but just give it a good pull. There we go. That's all come off there. See, that's all loose now. So now you got to get in and unplug all these wires. First, I'd start with these three up the top here. You've got your center diff lock, your demister, and the fog lights. My one doesn't have the fog lights, just has these two. But you can actually pop these out. Pop these out of their thing there, so you can get to that clip easier. These ones can only go into what they come out of. You can't put them in the wrong way. So down, pull it. Over here, you've got your mirror controls and your dash light knob. You can just push these and pull them out. And usually down here in these threes, you'll have these. These are the King spotlights or spotlight covers. There'll be usually 3 plugs in the back, but this one only has 2. Undo those spade connectors, and that. This one also has a gas and LPG switch. It doesn't have gas anymore, so it doesn't really matter, but if you're putting it back together, any switches that you don't know what they are, like those King switches, take a picture of the back of them so you know which way the spades go back on again, because they usually have to go on the exact same way of them. And that is the bottom fascia off there. Chuck that off there. And now we can take this top part off. With the top part, this one is mostly screws. So up the top here, you got 1, 2, 3. You got 3 screws up the top here that screw into this top dash part. Then you got a screw down the side here, another one here in the middle. You get your screwdriver up in there. There's 3. Here's your one on the left, on the right side, and your one in the middle just here. And one more screw just over here on the left side. You want to bag all those screws under like dash fascia, something like that. You might have to pry this one out a little bit, just because it naturally sits just under that upper dash part there. Clips. So you just got to pry it from under that top bit there so it pulls out. As you'll see, these aircon parts, the blowers, they'll come out with the fascia. Don't try and pull those out beforehand or you'll end up ripping the clips for them. You have to take this out first. So for the upper part, we've got a hazard light and a clock. They're the two out from out the top. So you get that switch there. Switch down on the top of that. Clock one over here. Clock one's back here. Then once you get those, that is your top fascia part out. Back over there. So here you can take anything out in whatever order. First I'm going to start from right, go to left. So I'm going to take this gauge cluster out now. So the gauge cluster just has 2 screws at the top, 2 screws at the bottom, 4 screws. Just undo those and it will come out, and then I'll show you behind the back with the clips and stuff that you have to take out. Alright, now undo those 4 screws, you'll be able to pull it out. Now with this one, you've got to be able to clear it on the right side here. Clear it over this key bar right here. That's the first obstacle you got to get it over. So you got to pull it over to the right to actually clear it over. And what you usually can do is see this, there's a knob here that says tilt on the left side of your steering wheel. If you pull that up, you'll be able to tilt this whole part down, push it down, and that's how you get the cluster out, because you got to pull it down, pull it right out to here, then you get behind it and you'll see all your plugs there. Get this first plug here, white one up the top. These ones are super easy to get out, they'll come out, and the same with the rest. Now with this one, it's a 1994, so it has an electronic speedo cable. So in my one, mine's a 1991, I'm pretty sure 1992 does it as well, and obviously 1990. There'll be a physical speedo cable and it clips into the back. It's a white sort of thing. It's the same as any other clip. You got to push down on the tab, pull it out, and then you'll physically see the cable bit there. And also with these cables in here, you can't put them in the wrong way. So don't worry about labeling them or doing any of that. You can just take a quick video of, you know, like this goes in the back, this goes there, but yeah, the cables in the back of the speedo you can't put in the wrong way. So unplug those, and that is your cluster. And this is what I meant by they have to go in the same way. You can see these are all different and they're placed here, so this one can reach over to this side, this one can reach over to that side, and that's all good. So next up will be the aircon here. This one's actually pretty tricky, and you've got to remember to put this one back in the right way, but pulling it out is fine. So it actually has the clips, has the knobs on the front here. So you pull those off, obviously chuck those in a bag, and then you actually have this front bit unclips, and this AC button actually pulls out. There, that's your AC button. This part unclips your front fascia bit there. Then you can get to the screws that hold it in. So there's 4 screws that hold it in around the outside. This one's only got 3, but 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where they go. You take those out, and then one on the top there actually. All right, we're going to leave that one there for now, and then we're going to do the radio. The radio is very simple. Usually you have, this is a doubled in, obviously, so it's not factory. So it's got 4 screws for it. This one again only has 2. So it's got 1, 2, and then 3, and then 4 will be down here. So you unscrew those, pretty simple. Make sure you hold on to those bolts because they can fall straight through your dash and you'll never find them again. Then you just pull that out, like so. You'll be able to unplug it from the back, and your aerial cord there. They'll be pretty easy to unplug. But got your head unit, that's out. That's easy. Then you can really get to everything that's behind there. So I've got the majority of the stuff out there. I'm going to take this top part off now. Take obviously your dash cover off. This one again is mainly clips, but you will find a few screws on this side. And what you've got to worry about is there is a aircon vent around this side. I'll show you that. So what you've got to do here is take this little vent out here. There's one screw up the back there, and one screw just here. There we go. Now we have to take this little bottom part off here. Take your pinch weld off there, and then it will just fall off. Again, it's clips and the screws as well. The screws in the bottom that I showed you. This one obviously wasn't very well attached. Here you got your speaker. If you need to take that out, you got your 2 screws there. This is what we want down here. This aircon pipe here, it pulls out from there. This pipe is joined to this pipe by 1 screw just there. Pipe will come up. This pipe will come there. That's your main pipe for the bottom there. Slots in and goes up, and then joins onto this pipe up the top here. You get that out. There's another screw up here that I missed, just up in here. I'll take that one out. So to get this top dash part out, you got to take this handle out. So you'll need a 10mm. You'll have to take out Glovebox here. Glovebox is pretty easy. A couple of screws on the bottom, on there, on there. Pop those ones off. Pop that open. You just 2 little bits you have to get over. Fit that over there. Then under here, what you got to do is you got to reach up under there, and you'll find your little bolts. There's one up there. There. So they're 10mm, just get up under there. This one over here is pretty hard to reach. This one here is very easy. There's one, definitely bag these because it's a nut and a washer, and the nut spins with the washer there. Made very much for these. Might find it easier with a spanner. Just like that, and then there's your bar. So with this top piece of the dash here, this is just the top cover bit here. Then you've also got the bottom, the main hard piece. And usually you would just take them both out. You wouldn't actually bother taking this top piece out. It's way too difficult, and it's just unnecessary to take the bottom piece out. If you take the bottom piece out, the whole thing comes out. So it's very difficult because you can't actually get to these clips at the back here. You can get to everything else over here, but if you did have this piece super sun damaged, like I've seen it happen, sometimes it can get so bad to where it almost looks like someone's taken a knife to it and like scraped it up, and you just wanted to replace this part without this bottom dash, you can definitely do that. And if it's broken, you can just bend it, snap it, whatever's the easiest way to get it out. If you don't need to take this out and you just wanted to get the whole dash out, you know, if you're doing anything with the wiring, anything that needed done back here, or air conditioning, stuff like that, then don't worry about this. Just skip to the part where I take this hard shell bit out, and it will all be the same sort of process. So next, you've actually got to get up under here, and there's, don't know how many, but there's a bunch of little metal tabs, and you've got to fold each of them back, and that's how it pulls out. Now here, the ECU is just under here. I'll show you. ECU is up here. So you've got to take that out. There'll be one screw there, one screw here, and then one screw up there. If these ones are difficult, you can use I believe a 10mm for these as well. ECU will come right out there. Push the tab in the back, same as the other ones. There is your one I've said ECU. This is where your speakers go, just here. Just one screw, or two screws, one on the top, one on the bottom. And here is your speaker. Just two screws to unscrew the speaker. Okay, I'll show you some of the tabs I'm talking about. They're also up on this part here as well. There's one, another one just here. So as you see, when the top of the dash goes in, they're twisted. So you got to twist them so that the dash can pull out evenly. So these ones have to be like that, and so do the top ones. And they're all, the top ones are actually bent around, but usually they'll just be twisted so they're vertical. Got to twist them horizontal so they can pull straight out. So to get to all these tabs through here, so if you pull this, comes out, there's no screws to hold this in. It just lets in there your main aircon one. You should be able to get to the majority of the pins through there. So over here we have one here, one over here, one here, one here. See this one? So that's what they look like. Got to get them, pry them up like that. Another one in here at this fan. So there is another tricky one with all of these. It's on the right here, and it's sort of down here. I'll show you. Down there. So if you're looking at it like this, come all the way down here, just that there. I'll just grab it with my hand, just pop it around like that. Once you pry those ones on this side, there are also obviously screws that hold this in. It isn't just those things. So starting on the right here, we've got this here. There's actually a screw just under there. Easy to take this fuse panel out here. A longer headed screwdriver, you get it up there, and that one will come out there. And then if you come all the way over to the other side here, there's a screw under there. So with this pin here, it's a bit hard to get to. You can see it up there, and up there you'll be able to just pry it over. So you basically just got to pry it up. That one's really tricky. Get up under there and pry it up. So once you get this out, you can actually just sort of move it up. So with the vent on this side, there's sort of a clip here. You got to press that down, pop out this side, and then you really got to pry it. So you see how it's got these clips here? Get a screwdriver in, and you'll have to just pry it over. All right, now I'm going to move to this side. Okay, so now for under here, I showed you the ones that were up under here. That's sort of stopping it from coming out, but you still got to get the ones up at the top here. Starting over here on this side, got one under here, twist that one around. So it looks like that. So I can pull over, move over to the left here, we've got one here, further around, one there. So you'll feel that start to pry out there, which is good. It won't quite pry out here because there's a few things on the side you've got to deal with. And this aircon vent is also still attached there. So with these top ones up here, there's a specific way. You can't get to them from the back, so what you've got to do is get them from the top. At the top, you got to sort of pry it out until you can see them up here, and then you get a flathead screwdriver on it and bang them down, and it will actually twist them out, and then they'll come out. I'll sort of show you. You see that one in there? I have already taken this one out, but basically imagine you find it, put the flathead screwdriver sort of about there on it, and just bang on the top and it will twist out. So over on this side, this vent is stuck in sort of, there's just a little lip. So you basically just got to pull this until it pries out a little bit. And once you pull that, you have your top cover out. So there's all of our clips there. You can see them. This is your main part underneath here, and it goes the entire way across. It's all one piece and it comes off. There's bolts, screws, and I'll show you everything and how to get them. So with this vent over here, as I said, there's two clips at the top. Get a screwdriver and sort of pry them down and over, so they're actually out the front. And then at the bottom there's two metal tabs, one there and one there. You basically do the top first so it pries out, and then get the bottom ones with the screwdriver and it will pop out. So those, and then boom, that'll pop out. They're the tabs I'm talking about at the bottom, and the clips at the top. So that's if you just needed to replace this. These do break very easily and very often. Start on the left here, move over to the right just because I'm already here. Tricky one that you don't always find is in this little vent up the top here. This vent up here, actually if you pull this and out, there's a screw at the back there. So with this one, it's super easy. You just need an extension and a 10mm or a long 10mm socket. You don't need a universal joint. Get that in there. And there you go there. So first, everything down here should already be pretty well pulled apart. Down on this side, again, mine was missing quite a few screws, but there was another main screw here in the bottom there. Obviously your few holding your glove box in. And then up under here, you had there was a few screws holding that in, which I took out. And moving on to the middle here, again, you'll be able to pry it and see there is a bit of movement. So you'll be able to see what's actually bolted in there. First there's just a screw in here. I'm not sure if this one's factory, this little screw here, but maybe. It's holding a ground in right now. So basically, you'll see two parts. You'll see your metal bit and then the grey bit. So you got to take off everything that's attached to like the metal bit, and also you can see the big metal bar at the back there that runs through. This dash is basically attached to that. So if you can pull it out, you see what's moving. So two main ones are those two bolts back there, but go get a 12mm for it. So if you get into those ones with the 12, so after you've undone those two bolts, undo this bolt here. It's another 10. It's just holding this fan thing in. There's just a little screw down here that's attached to this metal bracket at the back here. Take that one out. We'll get a bit more movement then. So I'm going to move further over to here. Alright, so if you go back to the 10mm, they're the three main ones just here. Just 1, 2 and 3. And then another one over here. This is a fourth one. And then after you've done those three, come down here. You got another big one there. So yeah, after you've done all those, you come down here, you got these two screws here. They're screwed into this bracket here. Just undo this bolt here and the bracket will come out with the dash. It's another 10mm. You'll feel a lot of movement over here now. Should be able to pretty well take this whole dash piece out. Get it there, sort of give it a bit of a pull. You got the aircon ducts at the back here, which you sort of have to lift it over. Like that. Give it a good pull from the back. I'll pull that. Make sure you get it over the key barrel here. So you've pried this side up a little bit. Switch over to the other side. On this side you'll have this aircon vent here, and it's screwed into the back of the dash, so it's going to want to come out at the same time. And up here, over here where you pulled that bolt out, you'll have the demister vent in there. So if you just push that through so it's not trying to come out with the dash, that'll help you out a lot. Just start yanking this out here. This is how I like to do it. If you get yourself a short, stubby screwdriver, you can get up in the back there and unscrew this aircon vent and what the part that's holding it in. That screw just there, so we can get that. And so once you got that out, there's another one much easier just around the side here. It's just there, get the short stubby one on it. And also one under here, just there. And then this aircon pipe will come loose. There. Now you can leave this attached because it's just attached to the dash. So once you take those two bolts out of the bottom and you take this out, you can take it out all at once. But I showed you taking that out because if you wanted to get to any wiring up the back here that was covered by this but didn't want to have to take the whole dash out, that's very useful. So you can just detach this side and a few of the bolts to here, pry the dash up, and you can get that screwdriver in there. So if you did just want to replace some of the wiring and get into the wiring, so if you get in here, this gold screw right down here has to come out. If you can't undo this with a screwdriver, it is also a hex head, so you can take it out with a 10mm, I believe. And then another one almost exactly the same under the carpet here. Now that you dislodged this aircon vent here, that's the last thing holding it in, so you should just be able to pull that up there, pull that out, and then here we go. So that is now the full dash out, every part of it. So from here you can get into your aircon parts that are down here in the bottom left. I won't go into the aircon in this video, it's its own whole setup down there, but it's actually pretty simple down there. It's just screws and things you gotta hold in. Just if you are taking that apart, and if you are doing any work like this, just take pictures of what you're doing. I tried to show as much as I could, so if you do forget something, you can just watch back and see how to do it. Anyway, hopefully that helped you if you needed to take your dash out, like I have had to multiple times. And hopefully it's less of a daunting experience, and you should be able to do it on your own now. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one.